Lawrence, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Good. How are you?
Yeah, doing really well, mate. Hey, this is Jack in the Box, nightmarish stuff, mate. Can you, just for the benefit of our listeners and our readers, can you give a rundown on what the movie's about?
Well, it takes place in a museum. The staff there, quite curious people. They discover this kind of old, mysterious box in the old storeroom. And as anyone would, they're quite curious. They turn the handle of this Jack in the Box and unleash a curse. And the idea of the curse is that the demon within the box is released when it's opened, and it must claim 6 victims. So, quite soon, the staff of the museum become the victims, and hopefully nightmares ensue.
And you know what? Jack in the Boxes are pretty freaky things, and they do actually have like a sinister origin and a history, which you kind of explore in the movie. How was the seed of this film planted in your head?
Well, we'd made a film called Curse the Witch's Doll, and the distributors we were working with at the time were quite keen for us to kind of make something that was similar, with kind of doll themes, and we were really keen not to do that, or at least if we did do that, bring something completely different to the table. So we started looking into different kind of different forms of doll, and this idea of a Jack in the Box just kind of came up as sort of keeping them happy, but also a case of being something completely new. And although, over time we moved away from them, the concept changed completely. Looking into the backstory of, like you mentioned, the kind of idea of, what is the true origin of the Jack in the Box? There's, theories of it starting in England, where it comes from a story of a demon trapped in an old boot. There's all these different kind of interesting little legends that we kind of melded it sort of put all together, and you throw in a little bit of kind of creepy clown subgenre into it as well, and before you know it, you've got kind of a unique twist on a genre, which we were really excited about.
I love how you said that the idea just sort of jumped up. That's quite literal, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. But it went through many kind of forms. At times we were, it was considering whether it was kind of like a Chucky type thing where the doll itself came to life. I was never a fan of that. I really wanted this, larger than life monster to come out of this box and create some terror. And I think I'm really pleased with how it all turned out.
For sure. And I mean, the Jack in the Boxes lend themselves to jump scares, so it feels like a natural kind of thing to happen in a horror movie. And the fact that you brought a demon out of the box is just fantastic. And like you said before, your first movie was Curse of the Witch's Doll, and did you have a natural attraction to demonic doll movies before?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of that particular subgenre. One of my favorite films of the last 10 years is The Boy, and I know not a lot of people like it, and some do, some don't, but I love the twist. I love the idea, and obviously the Annabelle series, and there's lots of others, but it was just something that when you're an independent filmmaker and you try to break into the industry, it's important that you present a concept that has a chance in the marketplace, and truth be told, doll movies have a place. So it was kind of a mixture of, okay, that could get us in our foot in the door, but it's also something I'm passionate about. So when you blend the two together, it's a recipe for success.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though I'm not particularly proud of that film, and I wouldn't ask anyone to go out and find it. But it was a micro budget family, just first film where I learned the hard way a lot of lessons that we carry on today. But hey, you all got to start somewhere,
mate. Like, those first movies are the most important ones. They lay the foundation. Sure. But like you mentioned some influences. I want to elaborate on that just for a moment, because I personally saw little hints in there of Hellraiser, a little bit of Phantasm, and even like Relic. There's a bit of that in there. What sort of movies, other than the ones you just described, influenced you when writing it? Or did you just try to distance yourself from any kind of influences?
It's really difficult. Yeah, I think it's important that obviously, as a horror movie fan, you consume a lot of horror type scenes and stories, and they all subconsciously kind of form your ideas of stories for yourself and stuff. But no, there were no particular, there's no certain film I can say, we're influenced mainly by this. We really tried to stay away from films like It, where it's obviously another huge creepy clown movie. We just wanted to make sure that if we went into this sort of territory, that there weren't direct references to anything specific. But I can't honestly answer. There was one specific inspiration, to be honest. There were so many.
Yeah.
It's just a lifetime of loving horror and all coming together.
Well, the one thing I do love about a good horror film, and I think the good ones always wear their influences on their sleeve, and I think, you know, fans of the genre will be able to watch your film and spot some that you might not have thought of, you know, like that just sort of seeped in there naturally. So
yeah,
that's the fun thing about these films. But in terms of the story, like your character of Casey, like Jesus, man, his backstory is really heavy. Like, where did that come from?
Poor guy. Based on my life. No, I'm joking. No, it's difficult. It's come from a number of different places. I've always struggled with insomnia, so something it's something I can relate to. It's something that I can draw upon. It's not particularly nice, but I've never quite had it, obviously, you know, cause quite the issues that Casey has. But I think when you make a horror film like this, and it's obviously Jack is the poster boy. He's the driving force of why people mainly going to watch this film. I just think sometimes it's quite nice to kind of, you know, mix that with a story that people can relate to as well, a character going through something tough. And it's also, you know, a character that is trying to convince people that there's a box with a demon going around killing people is quite ludicrous. So if you give him a character trait that suggests that he may be going crazy, there may be reasons why, at least in other people's eyes in the film, you know, reasons not to believe him. I think that does help. And it's obviously giving him this kind of idea of insomnia and hallucinations and all these things just make his claims that little bit less believable for his other staff members.
Totally. Perfectly said. And the film, in addition to yourself, your surname is all over this movie. Can you talk a bit about Fowler Media? It looks like a family enterprise.
It really is, yeah. As I mentioned with Witch's Doll, we you know, essentially this business is my 4 core family members. It's myself, my wife, who does the casting. I write, direct. My father is a producer, and you know, he's also incredibly talented at building things. So he built the box. My mum started doing catering on Witch's Doll. It wasn't the plan to keep going, but I mean, she's got a background in catering, so she's fantastic. So we just keep working with them. And before you knew it, you know, we were trying to, you know, we were originally called Up a Notch Productions. We wanted to rebrand it a little bit, and Fowler Media just came out to us because it's a core family business, and that's something that's fairly rare in sort of independent film. I think is I think a lot of people bring family members in, but to honestly have your core business being family based, it's quite nice. It's really nice, and I think a lot of people that work with us appreciate that. And you know, we're getting a nice reputation for very friendly sets and very friendly working environments, which is great. But yeah, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but it works for us.
I think it's fantastic. Like when I was, you know, looking into the film and your story, and like it just, I was really fascinated by it. And it's like you said, very unique indeed. And amongst your upcoming projects is a sequel to Jack in the Box, which I have, if I have it right, will be the second part of a trilogy. Is that right?
Potentially, yeah. We're thinking of ideas right now. So Jack 2 hasn't been released yet, but it's, as with all these things, it's all dependent on how well it's received and sold. We've got fingers crossed that it does well, and we've got ideas for a third. So yeah, we'd love to make a trilogy. We think there's definitely room to develop this story. You know, with every film, the budgets are going up as well, so the quality is increasing. And it's exciting times. So fingers crossed for Jack 3.
Well, I don't want you to give any spoilers away, so I'm not going to ask that of you. But like, will it be almost anthology style where the box is in a different possession, or will it be a continuation directly from the first?
Well, we've got ideas for both of those. I feel it'd probably be a fresh story where, you know, with the boxes with a different set of people, similar to the sequel itself. But we're at that exciting stage where there's no decisions made. It's just throwing ideas against the wall and see what sticks. So to be honest, it could go anyway. We'll just have to see. But no, we'll have to see.
Well, I am looking totally forward to that. And look, we've run the clock out, but congratulations on bringing Jack in the Box to life. I can't wait for people to see it. I enjoyed it a lot. Love these kind of independent films. So thanks so much, mate.
No, thank you for having me on the show, and it's been an absolute pleasure.